Alright, welcome to part 2 on the Polaris 254x4. As you guys know, we picked up this four-wheeler for, what was it, 250 bucks, and you can see it was in rough condition. We actually got it started last video after cleaning up the carburetor. We put a new starter in it, and the starter works great. Figuring out the electrical, and it fired right up. So we're on part 2 on this. When we fired it up, I noticed that there's like a loud screeching noise. So I'm taking off the clutch, and we're gonna start it up without the clutch on it, just to see if it was the clutch making that noise. I'm not sure. The crank seems tight in there, so I don't think it's the crank doing that. And there's no oil in this engine. It's all lubed up by the two-stroke oil in the gas. So, you know, there's no oil in the engine. There's oil in the transmission right there, but you don't physically add oil to this engine. And then I also want to get the airbox back on and that kind of stuff, but I do want to see what that sound is. I don't know if it's a clutch or the engine, so let's figure that out first, and then we'll clean out the gas tank. Alright, we've got some gas in it. Let's attempt to start this thing up. Let's see if it still makes that noise. Alright, so it's a lot quieter without the clutch, so that's good. So I think the clutch was just maybe put on wrong or something. I'm not sure, maybe it's just really worn out. It is pretty rusty in there. So we'll try to inspect this and see where that noise is coming from. 'Cause that's really weird. So just look at these, see if any of these are loose or anything. Everything feels pretty tight. That spring, oh, that spring might be a little bit loose in there. That big spring right there might be a little bit loose. I don't know if it's supposed to be that loose in there. Alright, let's take a closer look at this clutch. So we know that the spring in there is showing a little bit of wear. It's a little bit rusty. You can see there's a little slop in there. There's just a little slop everywhere in this thing. See if you twist it like that. Looks like these bushings have a little bit of play in there. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, the clutch has definitely seen better days. It's a little rattly. Trying to look for any gouges or anything on here. Doesn't look like there's any big gouges or wear on the bushings or anything like that. basically all I see is some play right there. Which I don't know if that's normal or not. I don't know if that bushing in there is worn down. And then the spring is pretty loose, so you can easily push that, which that might be the problem right there. It kind of sounds like the noise I'm hearing. So it could just need a new spring in there. But we'll put this back on and see if that noise goes away with some time on the machine. Maybe we just have to run it some more and clear out some of this stuff. Maybe it's just a little tight. Alright, so we got the clutch back on over here. Hopefully it doesn't make that noise anymore. Seems to be a little bit better. But what we're gonna do now, we also got the airbox in here. You can see. Got the airbox right there in there. Just have to bolt that down, but that's all good to go. So hopefully it won't idle up anymore. We're gonna check out the gas tank now and try to clean this thing out. Let's look in here again. See what we got going on. Oh yeah, there's some gunk at the bottom. Yeah, it looks pretty gross. So what we're gonna do is, you can see the petcock looks good in there though. What we're gonna do is flush it out with some gas. Just pour some gas in there. It looks like oil built up in there. And then just drain it out, siphon it out, and then hook up a filter to it. And then hook it up. Hopefully it's not too gross in there. But let's start that process now. All right, let's fill this gas tank up with a little gas. That was kind of sucky. Gas just poured right out of it for some reason. Let's take a look now and see what that gas tank looks like. At least the petcock flows, we know. Oh boy. Let's see what's in there now. Oh yeah, it looks pretty clean. Oh yeah, that's pretty clean. Alright, so the gas flush worked. Let's see what's going on with this line. It looks like it might be cracked. Yeah, this line was a little cracked. It's a little rough looking. Let's replace that and then grab the filter. See if that works. All right, here's the filter for it. That's it. Alright, filter's all hooked up. Alright, we got some gas flowing to it now. Gas tank seems like it's working pretty good. Put the gas cap on. Looks like this was painted several times. It looks like primer, red, and black. So, it's been painted a couple times. You can see there's gas flowing through the filter. I don't think any leaks, so let's try starting it up, see what it sounds like. Alright, let's try it again. Alright, so now it doesn't want to start. We're going to do a quick compression test. I have a feeling the crank bearings are going in this thing, because when I put the clutch on, it does move up and down a little bit. So I'm thinking crank bearings. Yeah, let's check the compression. Attach this guy. Alright, let's see what we get for the compression rating here. We're looking for above 100. See what the not quite. So we got low compression. Try it one more time. Zero that out. We have about 70 pounds of compression. Since we've got low compression, which is not good, I'm guessing either the rings are stuck or the crank is bad. One of the two. Because the crank, I can kind of feel it move a little bit, so I'm guessing those bearings are bad in there. So what we're going to do is probably just strip this whole thing down and take a look inside the motor. I think that's the best way to go. Alright, let's start digging into it. Alright, let's take the head off now and see if we can take a look at the piston. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it looks like 6 nuts are holding that on. Let's get that off. Alright, here we go. What's underneath here? See how bad this piston is. Oh, it doesn't look too bad. Maybe the rings were just toast. Cylinder wall doesn't look too scratched up or anything. Oh, there's a couple scratches in it. Yeah, I can feel some scratches in the cylinder wall. Kind of see a couple scratches up and down. Oh, this is really weird. So on the cylinder head right here, I see a bunch of metal shavings. Look at that. These are all metal shavings in here. Yeah, look at that. All metal shavings. Something is getting eaten up. Very strange. Alright, so just took off the pipe, the header pipe. Check this out. Huge metal chunks coming out of here. Look at these things. Big chunks of metal. Look at those. Oh man, look at this one. What is that from? So something's terribly wrong. But in order to get the cylinder off, you have to take off the clutch cover right here. This thing has to come off in order to get to these bolts. So if you were to redo one of these, the top end, you do need that clutch puller. Alright, we got the clutch off, both pieces of the clutch, and then this cover. And then now we have access to this. So now we can get the bolts off here, or the nuts I should say. I believe they're 14 mil. And there's two on the other side too. All right, moment of truth here. Let's see what happens. Held on by something. Let's see now. Holy cow, that's crazy. Wait till you see this. Check that piston out once. Never seen anything like that before. Check that out. Big hole right here. Just completely deformed right there. Jeez. That is crazy. I'm afraid to see the cylinder after that. Check this out. Piece is just breaking right off of it. Look at all the metal shavings down there. Not good. Alright, we got the piston off. Check this out in there. This is all metal chunks. Not good. Wow, that's crazy. I don't know how the cylinder's not worse than it is. Here's what the cylinder looks like. It's actually not that bad. There's really hardly any scratches on the cylinder, which is insane. But let's check out the piston here. It is very rough. There's all metal shavings and stuff in there. The whole skirt is just completely off of it. That is insane. So those were those big chunks. The whole piston skirt. So I'm guessing the whole bottom end is full of chunks as well. So definitely needs to have the case split. And this whole thing needs to be looked at. That is really, really bad. Never split a case on these before. I'm guessing it can't be that bad. Looks like it's held on by 1, 2, 3 bolts. Probably just comes right out. I don't know how much a new crank is for this thing. I'm guessing the bearings are junk in here. That bearing's not bad. Wrist pin bearing. I'm guessing the crank bearings are junk. Yeah. Check that out. I'd say they're toast in there. Yeah, I can see them. Alright, we got the engine out of the frame here. That was not the easiest thing to do. It was attached to, there's an engine mount right here, and like right down there, and then this cable, which I'm not sure, now we can kind of find out where that leads to. Not really sure where that goes to. Oh, that's the throttle. Oh, that controls the oil pump. So that was on the oil pump. And the carburetor had come off, and then there was an engine mount up here as well. So that was a little bit difficult. And then there's a breather tube going into the frame right there. But we got the engine out over here. We're really all in it now. No turning back. We got the engine out. Look how small the engine is compared to my hand. It's so tiny. It looks huge when it's in there, but it's very small. I'm pretty sure we can just split the case without having to take off this end. So why don't we try to do that and take a look at that crank in there, because that is just rough. Alright, so you can see metal shavings all the way down there in the oil. See them down there? And it looks like all in there, and then back there. So this thing is like really clapped out. But I believe we can just split this thing quick. So let's get these bolts off and try to split this thing. Alright, so we got all the bolts out of here. Sitting right there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them. And then we had to get this engine mount disconnector right there. 14 mil. Let's see if we can pound this thing off now. Hopefully we can split the case. If not, gonna have to get the case splitter out. Alright, that's off of there. Crank looks pretty rough. Yeah, that bearing in there has got to be toast. Check this out. Check this bearing. It doesn't even move. Yeah, that bearing is fried. Literally doesn't move. That is crazy. Let's see. The crank moves, but there's so much metal in there. I mean, look at that. Is just insane. This thing is just fried. Look, all the metal in there. I mean, there's metal everywhere. Metal chunks just... Man. Yeah, that's not good. It's a little rough. Just a tad. I think we're going to end the video there for today. We got a lot accomplished. I thought we were going to have this thing looking good and running today and riding today. But unfortunately, we had it running. But, yeah, something just wasn't right, and I'm like, huh, that's weird. So we checked compression, and it turns out that low compression isn't good. So we tore down the motor, and we saw the culprit right here. You know, I don't know what we're gonna do with this quad. I'm gonna look at parts and see how much parts are. If this ATV was nicer and all the plastics were mint and everything, you know, I'd probably stick the money into it and rebuild it. You know, even if the parts were fairly expensive, but this thing is just missing a lot. It's kind of a piece of junk. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. Either part it out or find a cheap crank, because I've got to get a crank, a piston, rings, gasket kit, and all the other parts for it as well. So I'd be probably at least $1,000 into it. So I don't know. What do you guys think in the comments below? I've never really lost money on a quad until now, so, you know, if I part this out, I probably won't. I mean, I can part out the cylinder and stuff like that, but, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll look at parts and go from there. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and maybe even learned something. I'm looking at this as a learning experience. I've never dug into a bottom end of a Polaris before, so this was something new to me, and just doing this, you learn a lot. So hopefully you guys did too, and enjoyed some of it. It was cool to get this thing running for a little bit, but too bad we couldn't take it for a ride. I was really looking forward to that ride, but what can you do? Hopefully we can soon. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. Till next time, we are out.